Welcome to this presentation on critical thinking. This presentation will describe the reflective process, critical thinking skills, how to incorporate critical thinking, and argument mapping. Let's get started. You are probably very familiar with the term critical thinking, although the actual meaning of the term may be unclear. Critical thinking is a reflective process. It involves reflecting on, questioning, and testing your own and other people's thinking processes. A critical thinker separates a subject into its parts, figures out how the parts work together, connects the subject to other related ideas, and judges the subject's quality. In this context, the word critical does not have a negative meaning. Rather, it refers to being skeptical, challenging reasoning, and uncovering biases to solve problems and make decisions. To a certain extent, questions you should ask when critiquing your own or someone else's thinking depends on what is being examined. Deciding what information to include in a research paper, which soap to buy, or whether a mathematical proof is sound all require different considerations. In many cases, there is not a predetermined set of steps you follow to find the right answers. As a student, you develop critical thinking skills over time through practice, inquiry, and feedback. Here are just a few of the critical thinking skills developed at the university level. Determining what information is or is not pertinent, separating fact from opinion, recognizing how evidence might be limited or compromised, and identifying holes in evidence and suggesting additional information to collect. Ultimately, critical thinking empowers students not only in their studies, but also in their everyday lives. Critical thinking is not synonymous with thinking outside the box or problem solving. It happens after you have done these kinds of thinking. It is how you evaluate the thinking you or someone else uses to help you arrive at a conclusion grounded in logic rather than emotion. Using a combination of healthy skepticism and an open-minded attitude is one of the aims of critical thinking. Here is how to start incorporating critical thinking into your studies and day-to-day life. Question while you read. Critical thinking involves questioning your own assumptions and the author's assumptions. As you read, pay attention to the main point and evaluate any claims, assumptions, or arguments you come across. Remain objective. Do not accept an argument just because you read or heard it from a legitimate source. Question the validity of the information and think of arguments that can be made against it. Consider opposing points of view. Look carefully at the main argument and the counter-arguments. Are there biased explanations or flaws in reasoning? Take the audience into account. Focus on the reasons it might be important for the author to persuade a person, group, or organization to think in a specific way. Write it out. By writing down arguments for and against an issue, and by putting your criticisms and perspectives into your own words, you will arrive at a better understanding of the material. Elaborate. Focus on items that originally seemed insignificant and form questions for which you don't yet have answers. Make a visual representation. This will help you get a clearer picture of the whole. Concept or argument maps, flowcharts, diagrams, and tables are valuable for identifying patterns. Engage in self-regulation. Be skeptical of others' work as well as your own thinking. Take time to reflect on how you have reached your conclusions. An argument map is a visual representation tool, and its main purpose is to organize inferences and evaluate claims based on evidence and experience. It is useful for engaging in critical thought and can be used for identifying assumptions, evaluating conclusions, and aiding in debates. The benefit of argument mapping, as opposed to mind mapping, is it puts finite limitations around the items being mapped, because eventually all reasons have to be grounded, whereas mind map connections can potentially go on forever. Here is a simple example of an argument map with supportive reasons, objections, and rebuttals to the central argument. The central argument is that I should go to the mall today because I would enjoy myself. But I know I should be at work today because it is Friday. I also know that the mall will be busy today, but I know exactly where I want to shop. This map will allow me to evaluate my central argument in light of the inferences I have drawn. Thanks for tuning in to this presentation on critical thinking.